Hi guys, James here at Miss Soul Car Finance, and the perfect scenario, pay no fees, and our self-claim pack. The idea behind the self-claim pack is really that to give the customers an opportunity almost at cost to get every bit of information they need to run the claim. We're watching it just now with the finance companies, and we've seen what's going on in the past, and the finance companies are still stringing people along. They're going to be fobbing people off, making life a wee bit difficult for them. And if I could just say one thing, this will be the most valuable purchase that you'll ever make. Now, I want to obviously cover the cost and our position in that as well. We've obviously ran hundreds of cases. We've got tens of thousands of customers we've been dealing with over the last number of years. And we've reinvested everything back into the business and moving forward. And we were all heading for a PPI type thing with huge payouts and everything else. The FCA have kind of thrown a wee bit of a curveball in there, but not to be deterred. We've still got loads of stuff that's running through the courts and loads of big payouts due, etc. And this just gives the customers the option. So rather than using solicitor or claims company, whatever, take the claims pack and it get every bit of information you need to move forward and go straight to finance companies with all the start dates, stop dates, the amount you finance, the payments, the monthly graphs that will show you exactly all the payment profiles and stuff like that. So we'll provide all that information for you, and it costs us probably about £125, and we sell it for £150. Now, I hate to even say the word always sell it, because I do think that this isn't an area that there's a lot of people could be bothered with, but I genuinely believe that this page here will put billions, if it's used correctly, it'll put billions back into your pockets, back into the customer's pockets. And that's really what that portion is for. Everything else, we're big boys, we'll deal with whatever comes our way and all the court stuff and the Supreme Court we've kind of dealt with and everything. But we're happy, it's a commercial environment. We'll do what we need to do to make our margins in the courts and everything else. But this side, it's the man or woman in the street. These are the customers that are getting hit hard, and because of maybe lack of knowledge of the finance and stuff like that, or the paperwork, they're all getting penalised, and I don't think that's fair. So what we are saying is we'll subsidise that. It's about £125 I think it cost to prepare, and we put out £150. So I can look you in the eye and say, look, yeah, we will make maybe £25. You will make probably thousands, and you can keep it. That's my offer to you, my present, my gift, whatever it is, and all our experience. I'll continue to work on this, the free claims pack or the self-claims pack, while we're doing all the other stuff, with the big claims, with the direct manufacturers and stuff like that. So I think this is critical if you're in the position just now, or you've been in that position, to even write a letter. I spoke to somebody this morning who, I think 4 or 5 months ago, started writing to one of the finance companies, and they're still back and forth on, what was your email used in like 2010? Do you recall if you missed a payment at that point? Because we don't have all the record. It's just like craziness, and you can see it all going on. There was one in particular that got back to a customer, I think I've said this earlier, and they said, oh no, that's not a DCA. And they contacted us. They weren't actually dealing with us at that point. They just made a phone call as a query. And I said, no, that's definitely, what's the numbers, the reference numbers I told you? I said, no, it's 100% a DCA. Go back and tell them this, gave them the information, and they phoned back, and that was then processed through and put through as a claim. So the finance companies are going to be as cute as they can be. And already, if you watch the FCA the other day in sort of Parliament or whatever, you'll see they're talking about some of the finance companies being a wee bit difficult and awkward and this and that. And I've dealt with them a million times. I've done the big deal through Volkswagen where we reckoned they probably lifted about 500 million out, and they get fined 21 million and paid customers 5 million, or the other way around. But it equated to like less than 50 million, but the 110,000 customers that they, not treated correctly, had lost maybe 500 million. So, as a business, for them as a business model, I'm sure they thought that was brilliant. They duped 500 million out of people, they get fined 50 million, and that's it, like 10% of what they've actually made. So it's a bit disgusting, but that's the mentality. Just look at some of the big manufacturers, big finance companies, and look at their decision-making process. They'll take a hit. They're not scared of some of the regulators and some of the penalties because they're not severe enough, and it doesn't worry them. If it stopped them doing business, then that'd be different. So I think, they've got to start look at, what the penalties are and how they're going to control. Because, the FCA the other day when I watched them, they looked as though they were kind of saying, oh yeah, the finance companies have been really awkward. And the chair was saying, well, you're the regulator, don't let them be awkward. Just like put them in their place like you would do. So I think that's a wee bit like us. We want to give you all the information so that you can go to the finance company, or even 4 or 5 finance companies we might find for you, and we'll give you the letter of claim for your first one on this 150, and you can submit that, and that's you got your claim submitted. So even if it's 150, minimum £900 payout, you're still 750 up or whatever. And then if it identifies 4 or 5 other ones, you might find 3 of them are DCAs and you're due money, and 2 are maybe higher commissions or whatever. We can look at them, as well for you. But you wouldn't normally, you could waste a lot of time chasing the 2 things that is never going to come back. So, and you don't really know whether you've been hoodwinked by the finance company or whether it's legitimate, it shouldn't have been paid. And I think that's, in 5 years' time, for the people who don't listen to myself just now, or some of the people in the know, in 5 years' time, we'll still be here talking to them, asking them, all right, so what did you submit, and what did they come back to you with, and what, there'll be the sort of back and forth table tennis of like queries and answers and questions and whatever. So what we want to do is just package all that up, quite brutal, go straight forward. There's your claim, here's all the information. I'm not daft, I want paid, it's a DCA, don't mess me about. Here's my account details, just transfer the money. A wee bit, that approach is, I think, is a wee bit more positive. So, as we say, the self-claims pack, I think, I honestly would love that to be putting billions, the billions that are due back to the people. That's what I want to see with this side of it. It's my biggest, I keep saying gifted, I'm no saint, no charity, whatever. What I mean is, it's the thing that I really believe in for the customers. Without that, these are going to be stumped. So, if I had a big sponsor or something, that's the stuff first thing I would give out to customers free would be the claims pack and let them go on their way. I think, so if anybody's like big charity or somebody that's got a really great heart, they get the self-claims pack, they can go in doing their own thing, and that's them. They keep all their money instead of, solicitors and everything else taking the 30%, or claims companies and what have you. But there's still a need for solicitors, claims companies, whatever it be. Our in-house solicitors, we've had some real challenging cases and some big discussions and arguments and sort of claims through the courts. And you really need to be on your game with that stuff. There's no halfway house. You don't get people that say, "Oh, I'm just I think I'll go down the court route." It doesn't happen like that. You'll meet really top class barristers, solicitors to challenge it, especially if it's you're trying to set precedent in a case or something like that. So, you've got to be aware of that. So this is the stuff that you can do yourself, but you really need all the information. Otherwise, you're going to be speaking to me in 5 years' time and say, "Do you know what? We never done that. We thought we could save whatever, £150. We didn't want to give you £20, James, into your pocket. We thought you didn't need it." So That's the kind of mentality. And that's why I'm declaring, the margins is simply so you can get your heads around it and say, do you know what? That's good. We're buying at cost and they're not taking any more money. Because technically, once we give that information to our solicitors, exact same pack we give them, and then they're on for 30% or whatever. So, that's where you start looking at a gift and an opportunity. Please don't mess about. If you're looking at this stuff, you can troll all you want through the internet and try do things or do whatever. There is nothing that will ever give you that type of control and information and support and security. And if you're there wanting your money, if you've got family or everybody needs money or everybody can do with money. So if you're making that decision for your family, for, something that you need it for, like a wedding or holidays, whatever it is, please don't start cutting corners, for the sake of like £50 or this and that. This will be a huge benefit to you. And if you can, either do the Klarna, whatever you need to do to get the pack gives you the opportunity. So I think that's the best thing you can possibly do just now is, look at the self-claims pack, and we'll do everything we can to keep that as up to date as possible and keep yourself up to date so you're getting all the information that we're learning every day. We'll be putting on the latest news, the videos and all that sort of stuff. So like literally we're here for yourself. There's no other reason, I'm not here for the fun of it. Without the customers, we don't have a business. That's how it all started. Doing the claims in court and getting the revenue in. If I'm honest, we've pumped everything back into the business because we firmly believe in what we're doing and we're in it for the long haul. So we've got another 5 to 10 year strategy moving forward. And as I said before, we sat down 3 months ago, spoke to Toyota, and we listened to their kind of 10-year strategy and stuff like that as well. So the difference with ourselves is we speak to people, manufacturers, finance companies, whatever. We speak to them, we look for common ground, we look for opportunities to, reach solutions, as opposed to a lot of other companies just now are just in total conflict or battle or whatever, and they're never going to get paid. And I can tell you they won't be near the front of the queue when it comes to payout. And one of the, it's not the agenda, but obviously, it was an intention of ours to make the contacts, understand their systems, liaise with the manufacturers and finance companies so as our customers could understand the systems as well and run the process nice and swift and make it as efficient for them and ourselves. So we're very much in touch with the finance companies and manufacturers, and I would like to think we're as near the front of the queue as you can possibly get. We've made the right connections and we know exactly what they're trying to do. And we know their budgets, as I say, Stellantis just pulled in their 37 million. You can check that up on the news and stuff like that as well. But again, that's all the stuff that we're paying attention to constantly. We know Stellantis have still got some issues going on with, I think it's Citroen airbags. That'll cost a lot of money to fix. So I like to keep my ear to the ground so as we know exactly what's going on with the finance companies, the funding, even share prices, all that sort of stuff. There's just so much we get involved in. As I say, I come in every day, 20 sites I probably look at, the government, the FCA, etc., just to make sure I'm fully informed of that day's developments or the last couple of days' developments, and then we pass that on to our customers. So this is the self-claims pack, absolutely invaluable. And please don't think you're buying something or whatever. The value in that is, think of it as £1,000 value, and then you'll realize it might cover like 3 or 4 claims. It might have £3,000 or £4,000 of value, whatever. But just think of it as minimum about £1,000 value. And to us it's not a big margin, but it gives you the tools to go and do your own claim and keep 100% of your payout. So this was other information that we talk about. Like so many people are hanging about here, and you're probably somewhere about here, the 10%. You get the claims pack, you move on to like mid-claim to here, and that's where the claims pack takes you. Every day we had 10,000, I need to explain this, we had 10,000 customers stuck down here. I don't know if it gives you the numbers, but there was 10,000. We dealt with hundreds of thousands of customers, and on the 10,000, they said, no, we're definitely doing our own claim. We're going to phone the finance companies, whatever. Do you know at the 10,000, there was only 15% actually got through to payout. 15% of that 10,000. And we had to sit and watch them, and we couldn't call them. Why did we not call them? Because they kept thinking, oh, it's a sales thing. We're trying to do this. And I was trying to just say, look, stop what you're doing and do it right. We'll help you. You know, that was literally what I was trying to say to them. And that's the same just now. This is where we're at, and probably, I would say where you're at just now, you're probably more likely to be somewhere here, 0 to 10%. Not sure, what is a DCA? How will I know if I get it, if it is a DCA? And if they tell me it's not, how do I find that out? So the claims pack gets you to at least here, mid-claim, and then, you know, nearer the 75 to 80%. You know, it's quite simple at that point. It's just, it should be, you know, a couple of emails or whatever, back and forth, and you've got all the information. You'll have everything you need, you know, in the pack. All the start dates, stop dates, payment profiles, the borrow, the payback, all that sort of stuff. So everything that you need. And then obviously, this is where we're all heading here. Not so much us, but the self-claims packs for you. We'll be all this route to go through the courts and everything else to get to the, and we could be about 6 months to a year away from the big payouts for ourselves. But for yourselves, you're you know, you're looking now, FCA are saying, right, they're lifting the pause in December, and they're looking at payments into 2026. So you're not that far away. You're now, you know, laser focused. It's game on. It's the real deal. You know, we're in, you know, get the money mode, get paid mode. We're not in, oh, how will this work, what we need to do. It's very focused. It should be the same with yourself. Very simple. Get the claims pack, get all the information, submit your letters, and they're there, submitted, all ready to go, and you're at the front of the queue. And if we've got particular arrangements with certain funders or finance companies, whatever, then we will notify our customers and notify the finance companies that they have submitted the claims. And I'll be honest, we are going to ask for priority with regards to payment, without a shadow of a doubt, and I'm not shy of that. And the same with the manufacturers. For our customers, we will ask for priority. We've already had discussions. We know what they want to achieve for their PR quickly. And if we give them the right number of customers, then we can help them achieve their payouts and tick a few boxes for their funders and lenders and their investors, and also the money markets, because you've got to understand, you've got to play their game as well. Okay, so the FCA were very aware of the money markets, and that's why they did the announcement for the Supreme Court at 4:35 on a Friday, once the markets had closed. None of that goes by me. Basically, I've got people that are involved in the markets as well, and we know what they're trying to do for their shareholders, what they're trying to prevent, and there's a bit of a game going on there. So we understand, and we want to be at the forefront of the payments, and we'll tick a few boxes for them, because that 37 million from Stellantis will go out to customers who appreciate it and everything else. Okay, so can't say much more than that, but trust me, this is the right camp to be in. And you know, if there's any way of getting paid, you know, as quick as, it'll be through ourselves, because we won't be stopping, you know. And as I say, we'll upload some footage if there's any changes and stuff like that as well. But that's our self-claim pack. Please feel free to come on, you know, sort that out, purchase it, and just go and get your payments. And by a few months, you could be like genuinely thousands of pounds, and you will owe nobody anything. So how amazing is that? You know, you won't be indebted at all. I see you get £5,000, it's your £5,000. I love that idea. We'll get it all fixed at this side. You get your big payouts, and you can buy us a coffee at some point, or just give us a nice review. You know, that'll make us feel good, honestly. But yeah, listen, the absolute best of luck, and I don't want to see anybody getting stressed. And just go with the flow. Make sure you do this. You know, it's worth money. It's not going. If it's self-claim, you know that it's not going to make any difference really to us. but it'll make a huge difference to yourself, honestly. And I've watched the finance companies, and the customers deserve their money back 100%. And just think what you could do with that money, whether it's, as I say, holidays. This isn't even a sales pitch, it's just, you know, what would you do with it? Would you go a holiday, fix the kitchen, look after the family, do some good stuff with it, make people happy, make people feel good, whatever, make yourself feel good for a start. So listen, I'm genuinely, you know, totally committed to this, and the best of luck in doing that, and I look forward to hearing from you. Okay, thanks very much. Cheers.